Welcome to Season 2 of Music Rewind, a podcast where we look to tell the stories behind our favorite albums. I'm your host, Steve Epley, and in each episode I will invite a guest on to tell us about their favorite music album, how they discovered it, and what makes it special to them.
Hang on, Steve. Sorry to interrupt. Actually, today I am your host. My name is Alan Ziegler. You may remember me from such classic episodes as Band on the Run, Episode 1, Season 1, and you might remember me also from the classic rock roundtable. So today we will be officially closing out Season 2 by flipping the script again and putting your regular host in the hot seat. You know, Steve is the host of podcast Music Rewind and Cinema Decon, and also the creator of the sidereal media mogul group. Welcome, Steve. Thank you for being on the show.
It is a pleasure to be here, Alan.
We're so glad you could be here today.
Yeah, I always find myself here. Thank you for coming back to play host again, because you did us at the end of Season 1 with our animals episode.
Always a pleasure to help out a family member and friend. You can be family member and friend at the same time, right?
Yeah, I think you can be both. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Our animals episode is our number one episode, by the way. It reached over 1,000 downloads recently, which is crazy.
I can't say enough about. I'm so glad that we did that, because I literally lost that album in my Pink Floyd journey. I really did. And I mean, since that episode, I've probably listened to that album probably 10 times. And I probably didn't listen to it 10 times ever. I literally, for some reason, it just fell off my radar. And I'm so glad that we did it.
Pretty soon they're coming out with that re-release of Animals, and it sounds awesome. Can't wait to hear the full album.
I saw it on vinyl. I already saw it on vinyl.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's on the Christmas list.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure Santa will bring that to you.
Hey, listeners. Anyone out there that knows me knows that if there is one thing I can have while listening to a great album, it's a fantastic cigar. These days, if I'm recording, editing, or researching for this show, you will likely find me with a fine cigar from Gotham Cigars. Gotham Cigars has a massive selection of premium cigars online, all available right now through the link in the show notes. Bundle deals, buy one get one, and weekly specials up to 40% off all help you get the best cigars at the best price. Please use the link in the show notes to help Music Rewind continue on talking great music.
All right, so you ready to jump into this? What album are you bringing to the table, and how did you discover it?
Today, I would like to talk about the album Preservation by the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. The title/subtitle of this album is actually an album to benefit Preservation Hall and the Preservation Hall Music Outreach Program. For anyone out there that wants to get persnickety on the music title, this may be a curveball for you, Alan. I didn't know if you were into this sort of music, but this is something that is definitely special to me, and something that I discovered in my adult life much further past my teenage years.
Believe it or not, I listen to some jazz. You know, some people might pigeonhole me as a classic rock guy, which
way.
Probably 75% of the time I probably am. But I am not. I'll listen to anything once, and I've listened to this type of jazz before. I actually had a music appreciation class. I guess I could say the years. It was like the late 80s and in college. And the teacher was into this type of New Orleans style, Dixieland style, I guess you might maybe call this, right? That type of jazz. So he played a lot of this for us, and I was surprised at how much I really liked it. So I don't really go to this, like a go-to type thing, but I enjoy it when you get to hear it. And this type of music live, especially,
Yes.
is fantastic.
Yeah, live has a lot to do with why I listen to this album and why I always return to it. If Animals was my rock out angry album, this album is my happy place.
Yeah.
I mean, there's say the stories behind how I found it, how I love jazz, and actually how it coincides with my wife and Michelle, and how we visited New Orleans several times and ended up getting married there. So this it all comes, I don't say it all comes back to this album, but this album is kind of central in all of that.
So did someone turn you on to this type of music, or did you discover it when you were there?
I discovered it over time as far as jazz, and that stems back to Harry Connick Jr. for me. So when I was in the service, I picked up several Harry Connick Jr. CDs just because they were there, and I liked it. I just really dug his music, his solo piano stuff, and I took him for the newest version of Frank Sinatra. He's a crooner.
Right.
But then the more I listened to his stuff, especially the stuff you don't hear in Harry Met Sally or other places, his roots come from New Orleans, and I wanted to figure out more. I wanted to find out why. And then I discovered Harry Connick's big band concert. I had the DVD and the CD. And in that particular concert, he's got this full swinging band. I mean, they're awesome. And I didn't know it at the time, but I'm watching pretty much the who's who of New Orleans legends. And they all played with Harry when he was a kid. He was playing piano as a kid off Bourbon Street and at the Maison Bourbon. And he would meet all these jazz guys who were sometimes 10, 20 years older than him. And he became friends with them all, created this fantastic band. So you got guys like Craig Klein, who now plays in Bonarama. Sidney Powell played the drums, and Leroy Jones on trumpet, Lucien Bobrin on trombone. All these guys that were just, if you were in New Orleans, you would know those names by heart because they're all local legends, and they all play at the Preservation Hall. So through walking that lineage down, I found the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. Like, okay, well, these guys sound cool. And then life took over, and I never really dug too deep further.
Right.
And then several years later, I'm out of the Army, and my brother Tony and I start going to Bonnaroo. And they have the very first Bonnaroo we went to, they had a New Orleans tent. And I drugged Tony in there. He wasn't really, he didn't want to go in there at first.
Really yeah.
But it was air conditioned in there. So I was able to pull him in. But he enjoyed it once we went in there, because we got to see Trombone Shorty. We got to see Galactic.
Oh, nice.
I mean, it was just fantastic. But that in there was the first time I saw the Preservation Hall Jazz Band on stage. Like, oh, okay.
Oh.
So how does that work? So Preservation Hall has a house band where all kinds of music greats come in, and they have regular shows. But then the Preservation Hall has a touring band, which sometimes they do sit down shows there when they're in town, but they're the ones going out doing the festivals. They're the ones recording albums, at least these days. I mean, the Preservation Hall, to take a step back, it's this little building off St. Peter's in the middle of the French Quarter. And they have 2 shows a night now, and you go there and you just kind of wait in line. And then you go in there. It's really just a tiny, rickety building.
Yeah.
Built in the 1800s. And it was an art gallery for a while. The art gallery people started having live jazz in the corner. And then the jazz band ended up being more popular than the art. So it gradually transitioned into a music hall. And then on a trip to New Orleans at one time, the Jaffe family, they stayed in New Orleans, started to manage it, ended up buying it. And now their son, Ben Jaffe, he owns it. And he's also the tuba player in the touring band.
Wow.
So he literally grew up in that hall with all these music legends, and now he's part of the band.
That's awesome.
It's really cool.
So what is it how does this music, was it speak to you? Was it lyrically or just the music or the production or the sound? What is it about this music, do you think, that really drew you in?
It's the music and instrumentation, the way they do jazz. So to see him on stage is one thing, but when you actually go to Preservation Hall in that tiny little building, on all of our trips to New Orleans, Michelle and I would go there. We'd be first in line. We would wait an hour to be first in there, because if you can, you actually sit on cushions right in front of the band. Like, you got to watch out for the trombone player. It'll smack you in the nose. It's great. You are
Wow.
right there. And
Intimate.
it truly is. And you get to see these guys. And that was the first time I really kind of saw real live jazz, whatever you want to call it, New Orleans jazz, Dixieland jazz, trad jazz. Depending on who you talk to, there's kind of different names for it. But for sake of consistency, we'll say New Orleans jazz. And it wasn't what I was expecting, because I was kind of expecting more modern New York jazz, Miles Davis style.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But this is not that. And it's much more, I mean, with jazz, every instrument has they have their time to shine when they play. But they're playing together, whereas modern jazz, everybody's kind of on their own. And that may be far reaching in a there could be jazz fans out there listening to this that are ready to come through the iPhone, but that's just the way it feels to me. So one more thing, as Michelle and I were engaged, and she asked me to kind of educate her on New Orleans music, because by this point I had CDs, I had albums, I had plenty. And right about that time was when this album came out. And I was just overjoyed. A brand new Preservation Hall album. I got it right away. And it was something different, because it was not just the band. It had all these amazing guest singers on every single track, and guest instrumentalists in the band sprinkled throughout. And it was just amazing. So you've got, say Dr. John on one, you got Merle Haggard, you got Jason Isbell, you got all these great singers, and every song is so different, but yet all in the same feel, that you could be sitting in that Preservation Hall where they recorded all this and just having a hell of a time. I mean, it's my happy place.
Yeah, this music, I don't know how to creatively describe it, but it just makes you feel happy when you listen to it. It's very get your toe tapping. It makes you smile. It's just very I don't know what the word is, but it makes you feel good inside for some reason, for whatever they're doing, however they're doing it. It just, I'm listening to it thinking, I'm smiling. This is cool. I like it. I'm bouncing. I'm tapping my feet. It's just a feel good music.
You're right. You can't not tap your feet, listen to these songs. You may not be, dancing up a storm, but you're moving a little bit. It's just so engaging.
So, this album, how does it flow to you? Do you listen to it straight through, or do you skip tracks? How's that work for you?
This album can kind of work two ways. It is definitely one you can put on straight through, but this is definitely one that I can hit shuffle and just enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, you can, because there's really not I don't want to say a specific flow, but with each different artist, they bring their own feel to it. So yeah, you're right. It's kind of, you could skip around, shuffle, easy.
Yeah, it doesn't really follow that standard thing, which we've talked about a lot on the side, where, tracks 5 and 6, you want to get your banger in there. They're not caring about that. They're just caring about the individual tracks, and it doesn't matter where they fall. I do have my, go-to songs here and there, but really every song on this album I can listen to. I don't have a need to skip any.
You want to go through it track by track, or do you want to just talk about your favorites?
I think we can walk through it.
Okay.
With the people involved on this album, I think they're all worth a mention, at least to get their names out there, because it's really just a fantastic album.
I agree. I like it a lot.
Well, one last story though about Preservation Hall. Right after the wedding, like a day or two before the wedding, we spent the week in New Orleans, and when my parents came into town, I brought my dad to Preservation Hall, and we were there early, front row, just as normal. And I'm talking with Tony on one side, Tony, Nick, and then Michelle's talking to my dad, and all of a sudden, Michelle hits me and she points. My dad's talking to Dick Van Dyke.
Oh, what? Oh, wow.
Dick Van Dyke was him and his daughter walked up to the front. They knew the owners or whomever,
Wow.
and they just kind of waved there.
Yeah.
And my dad just strikes up a conversation with him. And this was in 2013. I don't know what they talked about. We have to ask him. I'm sure he told me, but I just don't remember. But eventually, more and more people started noticing, hey, Dick Van Dyke's there. So his daughter waved inside, like, hey, can we get him in there? So he got to go in early and sit down on the side. But during the show, I mean, at this point, he was either in his late 80s, if not early 90s already. I don't know how old he is now. But yeah, you look over there and he's jamming away. He's having a great old time.
That's great. Yeah, and again, it goes back to whatever this music does to you. It just makes you want to clap and tap your feet, even if you're 80-something years old.
To take a dig at my dad, if you ask him, hey, remember when your son got married in New Orleans? Like, yeah, that's where I met Dick Van Dyke.
That was his highlight. Oh my!
But it's really great because no song you hear in New Orleans is played the same way twice. And that's the same because all these songs that we're going to go through, the majority of them are city standards. They've played. If you got the same group of musicians playing the same song, put them in the same room, they're going to hear a whole different version. And it's magic that they got these all in one.
Yeah, night after night, they're going to play a different version, even though they're the same guys. They've done the song 100 times. It's going to be different. They're going to improvise a little differently. You're going to hear a little this, you're going to hear a little that, just to keep it fresh. So for track 1, I thought that was a perfect track to start with. It represents everything that the album's about to do.
Yeah, it starts out swinging. It just starts out swinging with this upbeat tune that I wouldn't say it's my favorite on the album, but it grows on you, especially after the first 30 seconds. You don't realize it, but you're into it.
You can shake it, you can break it, you can hang it on the wall. Throw it out the window, catch it for cause. You can shake it, you can break it, you can hang it on the wall. Throw it out the window, catch it for cause. My jelly, my roll, sweet mama, don't you let it fall. My jelly, my roll, sweet mama, don't you let it fall.
Yeah, it's only like 3 minutes long, but to me, it encompasses the entire what's to come on this album.
Yeah, it's Shake It and Break It featuring Andrew Bird and Lucien Bobrin on trombone. Lucien Bobrin is one of the Harry Connick Jr. guys.
Oh, okay.
There was one time we went to the hall and we were first in line and I'm just standing there and I turned to my left and it's Lucien Bobrin standing there.
Nice.
And I was like, Michelle, look who it is. She didn't know. Like what do I do? I was meeting to me a famous musician that I had listened to 100 times over. So I was like, I tried to go next. I said, hi, Mr. Bobrin. I'm a big fan. Can't wait to see you tonight. And he shook my hand, said thanks. He's like, come here, come to New Orleans often. There's a little bit of small talk, and then someone comes from across the street, hands him a drink, and then they went inside. I was like, it was like the highlight of my night. It was just awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's look up Lucien Bobrin trombone on YouTube. There's some great stuff out there. He's really a fantastic trombone player.
Okay.
And he's actually on more songs on this album than I thought he was. He guests a lot.
Really? Okay. Anything else on this song, or you want to go to track 2?
Well, it's neat that they give a shout out to the jazz legend Jelly Roll Morton in there, where they're like, my jelly, my roll.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice, not so subtle shout out to him.
I forgot about that. So the song 2,
The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah. Heavy title.
I don't want you, but I hate to lose you. You've got me in between the devil and the deep blue sea.
So this is another fun one, but they, comes down a bit on the tempo, but it's a good tune.
Right.
Good tune. And there's, along with Lucian Bobber, you've got Charlie Gabriel on clarinet on this one. And I'll keep saying it whenever I come across him, but another local legend. Charlie Gabriel just released his own kind of solo album, and he's in his 80s.
Whoa. Good for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a nice solo clarinet on this song.
Yeah, the featured singers, I'll probably butcher this, but Paolo Nutini. So I don't know if I said that right, but I'm sorry.
That sounds good. I like it.
Yeah, but it was good song. Good song. But track 3 is really where things start to get good on this album, as far as it's almost like a left turn, because now you got Tom Waits singing "Tootie Ma Was a Big Fine Thing,"
Tootie Ma can shake that thing,
which is just fantastic. It's great.
I didn't even know it was Tom Waits until I looked it up. So when I went through this album, I went through it and, made my notes. And what I wrote for this song is, you believe this guy's voice, you believe what he's telling you. And I didn't know it was Tom Waits until I looked it up. But it drew me in, his voice and the way he's singing it. I mean, I totally believed everything he was saying about this song. It was a great vocal to me.
Tootie Ma went up the ramp, looking for some cat to ram. Police put her right in jail. I'm getting out on bail. Tootie Ma is a big fine thing.
Are you familiar with the Mardi Gras Indians at all?
Yes. I think I watched a special, like a documentary on those guys or something.
So this is a song that kind of traces back to them and their unique style of singing and performing. Like they'll perform it as they're walking the streets in their fancy costumes and stuff, which looks awesome when you see it. And but Tom Waits he just nails it. It just fits right in. Yeah. This is one you'll hear often when you go to New Orleans. So this is a very, very fun song and easily one of my favorites on the album.
Nice. So track 4, Louisiana Fairy Tale.
The dew is hanging diamonds on the clover. The moon is listening to the nightingale. And while we're lost in dreams, the world around us seems like a Louisiana fairy tale.
So here you've got Jim James of My Morning Jacket singing. And this is another one of my favorites.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
He sings with that style of, and I'm sure it's got a name, but with the big megaphone.
There's a megaphone. That's what it sounded like to me too.
Yep.
Kind of scratchy on purpose with a little bit of the echoey sound.
Exactly.
Very, very, like I would say old school 40s or 50s recording where they were, I'm assuming this is what they were trying to do. Like when they all would just be around one microphone.
Vaudeville style. Yeah.
You'd have, no levels. The guys who played louder were farther away from the microphone and the guys who were softer were in front, and then the singer would be there. So you would, if the singer would maybe project a little bit more than you did during the rehearsal, you'd get a little bit of that distortion. That seems to me like what they were doing here with this megaphone trick.
It's as simple as can be, and it works.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a pretty cool song. And again, like these songs, to me, not a musical scholar, but I don't know how to describe some of they're very compact, these songs. Yeah. 3-4 minutes usually is it. So there's a lot going on, but a lot of the instruments to me sound not the same, like, but they're using the same instruments on each song, but it's hard to kind of get a musical, what's the word I'm looking for, to describe it. It's just all the songs are great. They're just like right there. Everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they sound wonderful to me.
And that's what I love about the trad jazz of New Orleans, is that the guys in the band, I said it earlier, they each get their time to shine on a song. And when they do, there's such respect from the other guys of the band.
Yeah, they all lay back.
Exactly.
And they let the other guy have his 30 seconds. Not very long.
If it's time for the clarinet solo, everybody, like I said, will lean back. Clarinet dude will stand up, and he'll give an amazing solo that is just how he feels. It's not like a written solo every single time. It's truly just how they feel. And if he wants to play a little longer, he plays longer. If he only wants to play just a couple notes, then sit down, then he does it. And then everybody kicks right back in, all with the beat and the rhythm of the music, and nobody misses anything. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
You could tell all of these guys, obviously the guest singers are brand new to it as far as the group, but the musicians in the background are why I love this album. Before we were married and Michelle asked me to educate her on some jazz music or just New Orleans music, I made her several series of mixed CDs. And Tootie Ma and Louisiana Fairy Tale were absolutely on those CDs. So great songs, both of them. And they keep it going with track 5, After You've Gone, with bluegrass legend Del McQuarrie.
And I didn't know that it was him. I wrote down on my first pass, I thought it was Hank Williams III.
There'll come a time when you regret it. Someday when you're lonely, your heart will break like mine, and you want me only after you've gone away.
At the same time that this album came out, another album came out called American Legacies. And it was the Preservation Hall Jazz Band and the Del McQuarrie Band. And that was what I saw at Bonnaroo, was those guys on stage together. Didn't really realize it at the time because there was just a lot going on, but that was what I saw. Right. And it was amazing. I mean, that album could have taken this one's place. So you've got just two legendary groups from two legendary different backgrounds. You got bluegrass and you got trad jazz, and it meshes so well. And Del McQuarrie, love it. Great song.
It makes me want to check more out from him, honestly. That's how much I like that vocal.
I got into bluegrass because of Del McQuarrie and this album. So this is one of those things where you start unraveling the thread. That's where I discovered then the Stanley brothers. And then like Ralph Stanley, who's prominent on the Old Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack, stuff like that. From there, I've discovered Old Crow Medicine Show and others, just in this great plethora of bluegrass bands that I could sit there and listen to them for hours too.
Sure. What about track 6, Freight Train? That's a classic title.
Freight Train's a good track. Annie DeFranco. Not one of my personal highlights, but it does fit very well on the album.
Freight train, going so fast. Freight train, going so fast.
It definitely doesn't sound like the Annie DeFranco that most people would probably think or relate to.
Yeah, it's because she's got a kind
unless
of
she's doing this stuff.
Scratchy voice, I guess.
Did she move in this direction later in her career, or
I don't know,
or is this just like a one-off from her? I don't know either. I did like the dueling clarinet and trumpet lines in this song. That was a highlight for me, rather than maybe her voice.
Yeah, I say it doesn't really stand out as one of my favorites, but it fits on the album quite well.
Yeah. And of course, the next one, Blue Skies, makes me just want to like sing along, but they do it in a different way than most people probably.
Yeah, this is
would,
unlike any other
relate
Blue
to it.
Skies that you're used to hearing.
It rained all night and I'm feeling uptight. I face this city and I'm feeling kind of gritty. Oh, blue days. Do I need a new beginning? Gotta push, gotta shove, scratch around my love, gotta squeeze my frame in this locomotive train.
With Blue Skies, I'm thinking, I don't know, let's say back to Frank Sinatra, some sort of crooner version, Johnny Mercer. I don't know who actually.
Willie Nelson. Did Willie Nelson do a Blue Skies? Maybe
he might have. Willie Nelson's covered everything.
I mean, it's a standard, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
But it's I like the, how do I want to put this? I like the arrangement of this one because this one has a lot of side voices.
Yeah.
And people singing at different parts, not in sync with the others, as if it's a crowd singing with them, and you could tell they're having fun.
Everybody singing. Blue sky, smiling at me. Smiling at me. Nothing but blue sky. Do I see? Bluebirds singing.
Yeah. It sounded like in the studio they were all having a good time playing this standard song that they maybe had sung 100 times, 1,000 times in their careers, but they still had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I think you even have some banjo in there, and just there's a lot going on in that particular tune. It's probably one of the more rowdy songs on the album at points.
Right. Track 8 features a familiar name for a lot of people.
So track 8, I would say, and this is my episode, so I'm going to say this is the second best song on the album, in my opinion.
Okay. All right.
And at the time, I had no idea who Jason Isbell was.
Nobody knows you when you're down in your pocket, not one penny.
Yeah.
He actually blew up, I think, not long after this album came out, because this came out in 2010. But so Nobody Knows You, featuring Jason Isbell. And how to describe this one? You've got...
I like the piano intro.
The piano's wonderful. My favorite part, outside of Jason Isbell, though, is the trumpet. You got Leroy Jones playing trumpet here, another legend. Who I got to see at Preservation Hall. He's an old friend of Harry Connick Jr. as well. But after the show, I made a beeline for up front and just to shake his hand. It's like,
Nice.
that was wonderful, man. Thank you. Leroy Jones recently released his own documentary called A Man and His Trumpet. So it's really good. I recommend checking that out. He was one of my, during season 1, I shoot your shot. I sent him a message and his team say, hey, you want to be on my podcast? But, I got no answer. But
they're
shot.
busy. They're on tour. They'll get back to you.
But yeah, I love hearing his stuff. Again, that's another one along with Lucian Bobrin. YouTube him. Leroy Jones is amazing.
And then you have Old Rugged Cross. It's a gospel standard, right?
It is, and this is one that kind of grows on you.
So I'll cherish the old rugged cross till my trophies at last are laid down.
It seems kind of one of the low-end ones at first, but it definitely, to me, ranks higher over time. I like Brandi Carlile's voice on it. She's got this soulful and scratchy version of it that really, you say, with the soulful trombone of Lucian Bobrin again. Yeah, it really it fits.
I wrote down in my notes, I recognize this voice, but I can't picture who is saying it. So, but yeah, definitely had like a gospel thing feel going on. And definitely, I like that stuff, the gospel stuff too.
What did you think of track 10, Trouble in Mind? I want to hear your notes first.
I didn't write a whole lot down about that, but I recognized it as Richie Havens.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, that's a really interesting pairing, you know, Richie Havens and the band.
On some lonesome railroad line, let the 219 train ease my troubled mind.
Richie Havens being the opening act at Woodstock.
Right.
And that's really all I knew him as. I just knew the
Yeah.
name, and I couldn't name you any of his songs, unfortunately. But he died in 2013, so not long after this album came out. It's definitely the slowest song on the album,
Yeah.
but I like it. It's just a nice soulful song, very, very intimate, sad.
Yeah. And you need your ebbs and flows in the album. And this might be, like you said, a little bit of a down flow, but it still has a place in this album.
One tragedy that I can't find anywhere is when I say tragedy, it's a tragedy because there's no recording video of this album being made.
Oh,
If there is, no one has it. It hasn't come onto the internet. There's some pictures. So you got pictures of Richie Havens and his guitar and stuff. And
yeah.
but I would have, this, if there was ever anything to make a documentary of the making of, this would have been it. I'd put that damn thing on repeat if they had that.
That would be really cool to see. That is unfortunate that nothing exists. All these famous musicians. Oh man, that would have been, yeah.
Yeah, track 11 features a young up-and-comer.
Yeah. I would have never guessed it was him.
Oh, Basin Street is the street where all the dark and the light folk meet. Down in New Orleans, land of dreams. You'll never know how nice it seems, but just how much it really means.
You got Merle Haggard singing one of my favorite New Orleans standards, Basin Street Blues.
It does not sound like I didn't know it until I had to go back to see. I did not recognize his voice. It did not sound like him. There's no Mama Tried in that song at all. There's no outlaw country in that voice to me at all.
Yeah, so before this album, I had a piano-only version of Basin Street Blues that was regularly in my playlist from Harry Connick Jr., and then I had Preservation Hall Jazz Band doing Basin Street Blues from like the 60s or 70s with Sweet Emma singing from piano. So two completely different versions. And then this one was very, very different, but I love it. It's got that, it's more of it got a little bit of country version to it. And I like the arrangement. I like the interpretation.
This song is probably it's probably been around since 40s.
Oh yeah.
Maybe even earlier, 30s.
Yeah, I think that Basin Street was that's where Storyville was in New Orleans. Before the court was a thing, back when, in order for there to be jazz had to be played in Storyville, which was like where the brothels were and stuff, way back in the day. So that's where Basin Street has its origins. And if I completely butchered that to any New Orleans historians out there, I apologize, but that was
I
thought it was.
that was my question. So I was wondering, was it controversial song at the time because they talk about where the dark and light folk meet?
That's just what it was. It was Storyville was where Louis Armstrong played when he was a kid, where he learned the trumpet there from Buddy Bolden, Jelly Roll Morton. That's where they played. And the white people of New Orleans and the Creole people of New Orleans and the black people, they would all, and that was, when it came to jazz and dancing, everybody, boy, am I glossing over a lot there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say everybody got along and everyone was all happy. That's a wrong thing to say. But when it came to enjoying the music, there was a certain level of happiness and cohesion when it came to what was good music. Obviously, tons of people that did not agree with that, and there was plenty of that, of course. But when it comes to good music, the lyrics speak volume.
Yeah, and most of these songs have your traditional relatable themes, right? I mean, love, money, the weather, you know, and they're all mentioned in most of these songs, right?
Yeah,
Love and loss and money and the weather. I mean, these are traditional themes that appeal to anyone and everyone.
yeah. So you got ones that are about family, the ones that are about faith. There's the basic themes of good old fashioned blues tunes played through
Yes.
jazz.
I think those are relatable themes, and that's what makes this music so popular.
I agree.
So, what are we on? Track 12?
12.
There is a light.
There is a light featuring the Blind Boys of Alabama.
There is a light that never goes out.
But the Blind Boys are the part of the band. The featured singer is Clint Madigan, who is the main saxophone player of the Preservation Hall Jazz Band.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, he's got a phenomenal voice. Love his voice. And whenever the Preservation Hall Band releases a single of sorts, whether they've had several singles released over the years, in the past 10 years or so, with like I Can't Give You Anything But Love and others, that Clint is the featured vocalist. He's got that booming voice that can do so many different ranges. In fact, if you YouTube Tutti Ma is a big fine thing, you don't get Tom Waits singing, you get Clint.
Okay.
And it's really in great version. One of the first things you'll see on YouTube. Great saxophone player, great vocalist, and the band does a fantastic job.
Let's not forget the gospel organ sound, and that was amazing.
Yeah, that nice intro, and then then it picks up like you're listening in a church.
Yep. Exactly. It makes me think of the James Brown scene in the Blues Brothers.
There you go.
Which was a very influential film for me. Got me into a lot of different music.
Right?
Same
here. Same here.
So, track 13, Whining Boy Blues.
Featuring the late, great Dr. John.
Yeah, always awesome.
I'm a whining boy. Don't deny my name. I'm a whining boy.
Love Dr. John. He's got some amazing New Orleans specific albums out there that go under the radar, but he's great.
I like the that super low tuba sound in this. It sounds almost like a farting duck or something. It's such a really low, and it's just got that.
I like the trumpet technique they use with the cup mute on the end of it.
Yes.
Mark Broad's playing trumpet on this one, and that plus, and I had a note here on the tuba, the low tuba. So those two together, they have this.
Yeah.
Like you say, the ebb and flow of the album, the ebb and flow of this particular song, where you'll have Dr. John, I'm a whining boy, and then the trumpet and the tuba, they bring it down. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it was a great contrast. I think is a good word for
yes,
that.
that's the word I'm looking for.
The next track is interesting. Rockin' Chair.
Yeah, this is so really neat.
Old rocking chair got your father and your cane by your side.
Yeah, explain this to me.
Well, I have no research on this. There's really nothing out there
I
describing the
thought
making
Louis
of this
Armstrong
album.
was already deceased.
He was. Is.
Okay.
and I don't know if this was what. So obviously they took the vocals of Mr. Armstrong and
Yes.
put it to the band, and it works. It works perfectly. I wish I had some sort of, I don't know, a single paragraph describing how they made this song, but none exists. You look on the album, the liner notes, it just says Louis Armstrong. This is lead singer.
Okay.
But it's
Back
great.
from the grave.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, I had at first I had Louis Armstrong. Is it a sound alike? That was my I didn't know.
I don't know if he did this in the past album of his own. I'm not.
He must have.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a lost
They
track.
must have lifted a vocal and then then the jazz band put their own track behind it. I mean, that's
the most logical.
they do that
assumption.
now.
Yeah.
They do that now on songs. So I'm assuming this was maybe one of the early versions, or early attempts at that, maybe.
So for a while there, my job had this thing, the inter-office radio, where you could be a guest DJ for an hour and play your own set list.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun.
I did that on a local Peoria radio station. I got to be on there, and
Did you have to pay the royalties, or did they have already the songs there? Or
well,
how
yeah,
did that work?
that's probably another story, because you know what? I go in there with my five, and they're like, "Well, can we change this one?" Oh my gosh, no, you can't change it because this is my five. Anyway, sorry.
So
Getting
well, I would-
derailed. Me
yeah,
and
I-
my particular music. Come on, I got my five. This is my five. No, I will not compromise. I might have compromised a little.
I went in there with an hour of my music, and the set list was called "A Stroll Through the Quarter," and it was an hour of New Orleans music. They had to screen it ahead of time because they want to make sure there's nothing offensive that's going to
Oh yeah, right.
offend
yeah.
anyone in the office, that sort of thing. Because everybody can, whoever gets slotted can do an hour of whatever,
Yeah, that
rap,
sounds like
death
fun.
metal, whatever they want. They looked at my set list. They're like, "Oh, you're good. This isn't gonna.
Whoa, all
This
right.
isn't gonna. This isn't gonna
Offend
offend
anyone.
anybody." Yeah, but because I mean, right off the bat, well, I had my first song is later on this album. Actually, my second song was "Rockin' Chair" with Louis Armstrong, and the feedback I got was people that were fans had never heard that song before, fans of his, like deep people.
Oh, that's
So, yeah,
cool.
so that was kind of neat. People reaching it out after. All those playlists are available on Spotify if anybody's interested. I got to do 2 of them, so that was pretty cool until they killed the internal radio station.
Oh, well, we won't go there. I'm sure somebody ruined it for everyone, right?
Oh yeah, corporate America, we got bought.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't
Yeah.
go in the direction I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah, that just kind of went to the wayside once corporate
Yeah.
got involved.
So track 15, Baby Won't You.
So this is another one of my favorites, actually. I really
Really?
enjoy Amy LaVere's voice on "Baby Won't You Please Come Home."
Left you broke my heart, but that should never make us part. For every hour of the day, you can hear me say, baby, won't you please come home?
I don't know why. I can't really describe it, but I just really like it. And I actually, I follow her on social media and stuff. She's got a lot of stuff. It's one that she's not very well known. She's not like touring or whatever, but she's a local. I think she's local to New Orleans, so don't quote me on that. But very cool. She's just got a very sweet voice, and
Yeah.
it's a different take on this song because I've heard other versions of this song that were more jazzy, and this one was, I don't want to say poppy, but it was just I don't know,
Maybe a little smoother
Yeah.
jazz.
yeah.
What about the next track? One of my favorite guys.
Steve Earle, "Tain't Nobody's
Yeah.
Business."
I ain't gonna hang around this town where I ain't allowed to walk around. Ain't nobody's business but mine. I'm going to Memphis, Tennessee, where the women think the world of me. Ain't nobody's business but my own.
I like Steve Earle. I mean, that,
Did you recognize him when he started singing?
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Matt?
Yeah. I like his stuff. I mean, I'm a fan. Definitely a fan.
So this album came out right when the HBO series Treme was playing.
Yes, I watched that.
Yeah, and so Steve Earle had a prominent role in that particular series, and as a musician, and had a couple of songs on that soundtrack as well, which I'd recommend the Treme soundtrack to anyone out there. All the different seasons of it. So yeah, it was just a good upbeat tune.
Speaking of soundtracks, do you know that this album we're talking about, there's a double vinyl version on Discogs, $125.
Really? I have that.
Yeah, $125. You do? Yeah, you have the double vinyl.
Yeah, that's what I bought back in
Nice.
2010. I didn't realize
Nice.
I had
I looked it up. I was thinking about getting it, and I thought, nope, not at 125. But I'll listen to it on whatever service.
Yeah, because I wanted those extra songs.
Ah, okay, nice.
Yeah, they got a couple extra songs on that
Uh,
second disc that are crucial.
Crucial to your listening ears.
Yes.
Track 17.
Some Cold Rainy Day,
Cold Rainy Day.
featuring
Yeah.
Corey Chisel.
Not a name I recognize.
But this is another one where it made me want to explore the singer more. And
Yeah.
I don't think he's exploded like Jason Isbell has, but he does have some really cool stuff out there. He's got a very unique voice.
Oh, yes, you'll be back. Some cold and rainy day.
This is a good song. One of my favorites on here because it's got that, it makes you feel like you're just kind of sitting inside and you're blue, you're sad on this cold, rainy day. He really makes you feel it.
Right. You can relate to him.
Exactly.
Yeah. Track 18 is I Ain't Got Nobody.
A good old classic.
Yep.
Makes me think of David Lee Roth, unfortunately.
I ain't got nobody, and nobody cares for me.
I don't have many notes on this particular version. It's just a good version of an
Yeah,
old standard
I don't either.
featuring Buddy Muller, a name I don't know.
I'll let you pronounce the next track, but I do remember it had a really lovely trumpet solo on it.
So track 19 is La Vie en Rose.
La Vie en Rose.
Quand il me prend dans ses bras, il me parle tout bas. Je vois la vie en rose. Il me dit des mots d'amour, des mots de tous les jours, et ça me fait quelque chose.
This is a very famous song. Obviously, dates back, France and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm pretty sure. But this
Probably a turn of the
rendition,
century song, probably.
yeah, and this
Yeah.
one is all in French. So she sings it all in
Yes.
French, featuring Angelique Kidjo and Terrence Blanchard, who plays lead trumpet. The cool thing about this is one that I put on that CD for Michelle, and she loved the song and she sought out other versions, and we ended up picking the Louis Armstrong version as our first dance at our wedding.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, this is a very, very famous song. There's a lot of great versions out there.
And then the next song, did they put the two that nobody can pronounce in a row on purpose, or what?
C'est si bon.
Say well.
C'est bon.
Yeah, this is
C'est
a really
bon.
good vocal performance. Really good. I liked it.
She
It was
sings
very
it with passion. She does.
yeah, a very smooth and silky and kind of sexy. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I could easily say this is a sexy song. It's Anita Bream is the singer, and I don't know much about her at all. But it's a good song.
Every word, every sigh, every kiss, dear, leads to only one thought, and the thought is this, dear sassy boy.
Yeah, I wonder if a lot of these, besides the big names, like you were saying earlier, I wonder if they're local, not legends, but locally known.
Yeah.
Upper echelon.
It's a very tight community of musicians down there. They all know each other. They all play together. Yeah, I've been in bars down there where there's a great band playing on the stage. Someone walks in, has a case of something, of an instrument. They're like in the middle of a song, hey, pointing across the room and come on, and then they'll walk up on stage and then they'll just join in like they were there the whole time. I mean, it's fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome. Track 21, another classic song, right? St. James Infirmary.
St. James Infirmary. This is the best song on the album.
It was down in Big Kid's ballroom.
It's got a very cool trumpet and banjo.
From Stacey Bon on these are the extra tracks, not on the original version.
That's right.
So Jim James from My Morning Jacket returns, and he gives a great vocal performance. But man, the band is just firing on all cylinders on this one. Yeah, I can't say enough good things about this version of St. James Infirmary. It's one of my favorites. Preservation Hall Jazz Band has been doing this song for a long time. There's probably a dozen different versions out there if you search.
Oh, yeah.
They do an upbeat version called the King James Remix with Clint Madigan, again, on lead vocals. And that's a really fun version. I would recommend that one. But I love this one because it is so slow and drawn out. Like they get so much out of like one note at different points there. I mean, they just drag that note out, and it's because the song is about a guy who finds his woman dead, and it's you feel it.
Consumption, right?
Yeah,
I think something about consumption in there.
Yeah, it depends on the version you hear. Some versions she was out whoring and got shot. It all depends on the version of the song, because the lyrics always change. That's another great thing about this song.
And the lyrics are dark.
Yeah. The guy was walking down the street, and the coroner calls him in, and the woman lying on the slab is his girl, and he's she was lying there dead. The lyrics are dark, very dark, and I think he sings it through the megaphone again.
Oh, right.
To get that haunting sound to it.
Yeah. Now you say that, I think you're probably right. And then you go into track 22, which is kind of another, not going to say downer, but the lyrics are Corinne died on the battlefield, right? I mean,
this is just like with Tootie Ma. This is another one that goes back to the Mardi Gras Indians. There's a lot of different versions of it out there, but Tom Waits again comes in swinging with that voice. And I was used to the the banjo version by the Baby Dodds Trio from like the 40s, and it's so different. I mean, you just think of a jaunty little banjo, and then this is a call to action song. So the lead singer says, Corin died on the battlefield, and the backup, Corin died on the battlefield. But the way Tom Waits sings it with that scratchy bass voice, and then you got the backup band, the band. It's such a different version. I love it. Great version. I wish there was some sort of video of them playing this. I really do.
You search the entire interweb, and there's no Tom Waits, not even with maybe like the Dirty Dozen brass band or anything like.
Not that I can find yet. If anybody has it out there, please send it on to.
Yes, send a link. Send a link. So the next song is "Careless Love" with Del McCoury again.
Another great take on another New Orleans classic.
Sorrow, sorrow to my heart when me and my true love had to part.
And I just love that dude's voice, man.
And this one's kind of fun because he has that very kind of happy, upbeat bluegrass voice, but it's got such dark lyrics.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, like the bonus disc is kind of dark.
Yeah, now that you think about it.
I didn't that just came to me. I mean, I literally didn't even have that written down. I'm just thinking it's kind of, because the next track is Sailing Up, Sailing Down.
This one's weird. I'll say it. This one is I don't skip anything on the album, but the final two tracks, they're there, but I don't necessarily go to them.
Some are young, some are old, some are old, young, old, up and down the river sailing on, stopping all along the way.
I thought it was Susan Tedeschi's voice, but it's not. I was hopeful that it was because I love her, listening to her voice, but the
last two tracks, say "Sailing Up, Sailing Down" and "We Shall Overcome," are both with Pete Seeger and Tao Rodriguez.
Pete Seeger, obviously, that's a old folk singer guy from way back, but I don't know the other.
I don't either. I don't know the name or what that person's done.
But I mean, "We Shall Overcome." I mean, that's, of course, that's closing out.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, that's a group sing kind of thing.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday.
It's like the what's the Bob Dylan when they close out all on
"I Shall Be Released."
Yeah, there you go. You got it. It's in that same vein, right? It's the perfect song to close out the album. So we've covered there's no real duds then for you. I mean, there was a few that you were maybe but overall.
Yeah, I mean, I don't skip anything. I really do like to put this one on shuffle. It's really the songs that I take away and put on, my other playlists. You say St. James Infirmary, Tootie Ma, Louisiana Fairy Tale, Down and Out, Basin Street Blues. There are several that I do pull out and like to listen to by themselves. It's really just my go-to happy place to put this album on shuffle.
Sounds like this album is maybe like a family listening album.
It's definitely one that my wife can tolerate, I'll say.
Right. So you put it on the car on a road trip.
She won't turn this one off. She might turn off Animals. So rather than start that argument, we'll put on New Orleans stuff. But this one definitely just reminds me of our courtship, our trips to New Orleans, as a dating couple, engaged and then married, all in New Orleans. And several of these songs were played at our wedding. We went full, tourist destination wedding, danced down the street with a band in front of us. That was great.
Nice. Yeah. So not only is it, it's great music, but it also holds all those special memories as well. So it's like a double bonus album for you.
It does. And this episode will probably come out right around our anniversary in September. So that works out too.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Bonus. Is there anything else you want to talk about with this album, or do you think we've pretty much?
I think we've pretty much covered it. Say Preservation Hall. If you're ever in New Orleans, it is worth it to just go get in line and listen to those guys play. They're amazing.
You sold me on it. If it's anything like this album down there, I've never been to New Orleans, and I would love to go sometime.
And that's a good point. This album really feels like you're there. Some of their other albums are either they are very old or they're trying to do different styles. Like they've done some Cuban style jazz lately and other things. This one feels like you're sitting at the hall watching these guys play. That's one of the reasons I love it.
Yeah, it does make you feel like, I feel like they probably recorded this almost live.
Oh yeah.
And maybe they might have threw some of the singers on later, maybe, but it does have a very lively.
I'm going to assume they put Louis Armstrong on later.
Besides, of course that one, yeah, definitely that one, yeah.
Well, the Preservation Hall is where the Foo Fighters recorded Sonic Highways.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the Preservation Hall Jazz Band is in the background. They're the backing band for the Foo Fighters on that particular song. And I'm sorry, the song name escapes me at the moment. But after they recorded it, they actually opened up all the windows at Preservation Hall and gave an impromptu mini concert to everybody on this little tiny street. Trombone Shorty was there. He's on the song too. And just,
wow.
And they did this like freaking a week and a half after we were there. Yeah, that would have been
Was
great.
that on the Sonic Highways documentary?
Yes.
It was. Okay.
I don't know
I'll
if
have to go back and
that
watch
full mini concert I don't think was on there, but the recording inside the hall absolutely was. That's
okay.
It's the New
I'll have
Orleans
to go back
episode.
and watch that because I watched most of that and I don't remember, so I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, the Chicago episode and the New Orleans episode are my favorites of that particular documentary.
Yeah,
for obvious
that
reasons.
was a cool documentary. I like that.
I like hearing Dave Grohl talk about how just being in New Orleans inspired him for that song, and it's a good song. It's not their best song, but it's definitely really a good song, and you can hear the little reasons in his lyrics, the little parts of New Orleans. You can hear it.
Right. Okay, so we've pretty much covered everything on this album. What albums made your short list but didn't make the top spot?
So for a short list, I focus more on a jazz short list.
Okay.
This particular time. And the previously mentioned American Legacies, which is the Preservation Hall band with the Del McCoury band. Everyone should check that out. Harry Connick Jr. has two very specific New Orleans jazz albums in his own way. One's called Oh My Nola, and the other one's called Chazon de Vauquerie.
Okay. Gesundheit.
Vauquerie is French Quarter in French. So I don't know what chanson du means. Maybe it's dance the French Quarter or something.
Listeners, please respond with your answers.
Well, Chanson de Vauquerie is actually all instrumental. So it's just an instrumental album. And then Oh My Nola is a lot of standards. You've got Careless Love. You've got The Chic of Araby, and just all kinds of good New Orleans classics done with Harry Connick and his big band. So it's really cool. George Lewis Band of New Orleans, the album Jazz and Preservation Hall 4. George Lewis was one of the first clarinet players there. So this is one of those old sounding albums, and it's really, really good. Baby Dodd's Trio, the album Jazz a la Creole. They're the ones that do the original Corin Died on the Battlefield.
Okay.
Jelly Roll Morton's The Discovery of Jazz. That's just an amazing one you can just put on in the background of anywhere. And then any of the individual albums from the Preservation Hall Jazz Band, old and new. You got the Hurricane Sessions. That's It was a really good one. It's literally called That's It with exclamation points. Best of the Early Years, Songs of New Orleans. They've got like a million. And they've actually got a box set, which I got for Christmas a couple years ago, which has like 75 tracks on it. It's really,
oh, wow.
That one's really good. Yeah, it was like 5 discs.
Epic. Yeah, I mean, so if you're listening and you maybe want something a little bit different and you never explored this type of music, this might be a good album to start with.
It is a good starter one.
Branch off from here.
Absolutely. Yeah, this one
in
has
whichever
a little bit
direction you choose to go.
Yeah, I mean, if you know the bluegrass people, if you know the say classic rock people, you got Dr. John, you've got Steve Earle, you got some country guys in there.
Del McCoury, like I said, I'm going to explore some of that. I mean, you can jump off in a lot of directions here.
My Morning Jacket, so you got the jam bands in there. You got Tom Waits for the Tom Waits fans. I'm not sure what kind of music Tom Waits is specifically.
Dark, moody crooner fans. I don't know either. So before we wrap this up, you want to tell the listeners out there what you're working on, or if they can find you anywhere, or anything you would like to pitch? Like, there's got to be something.
Well, today I think I'm going to use this pitch time to thank all the listeners and guests from the full 2 seasons of Music Rewind. I posted the other day on the socials how rewarding it's been, and that is a complete understatement. I have learned so much about everything from podcasting to interviewing to different types of music, and it's been amazing to hear all of the stories behind these albums, both uplifting stories, personal stories, everything. And then the music that's also taken me out of my comfort zone. There's been so many. And then you've got the feedback that comes to me. I've gotten a lot of great feedback about how either people are enjoying the conversations, again, those stories, regardless of their opinion of the music. Like, I've had people say, I don't really like that Kiss album, but that episode was great. I loved the stories. Or Paul McCartney ruined the Beatles, but I liked the episode. Literally, I did get that. And I enjoy that. That was kind of the whole point of the show, was to just let people tell the stories, because for the most part, we are all not musicians of great renown. We are not we're not blue checks of named people, and to be able to tell your story to hundreds of listeners, which is quite nice. I'm giving everybody a platform, and myself, and I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun.
You don't have to like the music.
Exactly.
To enjoy the stories and the passion that people bring to each podcast.
And I've also got a lot of feedback about how people may know 1 or 2 tracks, but they never gave the album any time.
Yes.
But realizing that there's so many other great tracks on those albums that they just missed, or
good point.
Like you said, Animals, just kind of fell off your radar.
Yep.
I've gotten a lot of feedback of that nature. So it's really cool. Season 3 is outlined. I've got a lot of great guests lined up, albums in the queue, and I am itching to get at it. But I'm going to take some time off to do some non-podcast stuff, clear my head, relax, listen to all those Red Hot Chili Peppers links that Luke keeps sending us that I haven't had time to watch them all yet.
Yeah.
Keep them coming, Luke, but I just haven't gotten to them all yet. Recording will resume this fall and winter. New episodes are out will be out in 2023. And keep a lookout for the winner announcements for the 2022 People's Choice Podcast Awards, because we were nominated in the Best Music Podcast category, which is pretty awesome. Thank you to anyone who nominated us.
Yeah, that's quite an honor. That's really cool, too. Really cool to have such a small outfit to get that. Well, just to be nominated, I mean,
Yeah,
is a huge deal. That's cool.
it's amazing. Everyone needs to buy some Gotham cigars and, go and listen to the rest of season 1 and season 2 if you haven't yet.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Steve Ball, I'd like to thank you for your time today. Pleasure, as always, sit with you and talk about the Preservation Hall Jazz Band.
Thanks for doing this, Alan. I appreciate it. Always fun. Hopefully in season 3, you can finally narrow in an album you want to do.
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard to narrow it down.
All right, well, thank you again for listening to Music Rewind, a podcast from the Sidereal Media Group. And as I always say, listen to the full album. Until next time.
A podcast from the Sidereal Media Group. Back to you, anchors.